Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the broadcast. It is Thursday, February 7th, 2019. Thank you very much for joining me here for another edition of the show. Oh, I got various different things to talk about today, for sure. Lots of shit show topics for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I know how you like those. Every day, right? Every day. I try to come up, that's kind of my goal, you know. Listen, you know, when in Rome, man, you know, you got to do what you got to do when it comes to this kind of stuff. I don't choose these topics. Yeah. I don't choose these talking points. They put this shit out. I just do my best to decode the bullshit for you. But yeah, I think that's just going to be the way I describe what I do. Well, I just talk about whatever the shit show topics are going on in the shit show that is the world now. That's what I do. Maybe I should change the name of this show to the Shit Show Report with Josh Reeves, because that's really what it is. What it boils down to. I can't put perfume on a pig and tell you it's anything different than that. You know that's the truth. So, yeah, you know, you got to call it what it is, don't you? It's the fucking Shit Show Report. That's what we got going on here. The Shit Show Report with your host, Josh Reeves. That's kind of where we're at. Anyway, lots to talk about. Hope you're doing well. We narrowly avoided going under yet again this month. I had to sell some of my personal things to make sure that happened. But we still came up $500 short on our total operating cost goal. So I've covered what I could cover, which is the most important thing, just to keep the studio alive and all that. So, but we still came up $500 total on our total operating cost goal. And now we have $300 of that 500 that we didn't reach. As I said, I covered everything I could cover with what few sales we got from the presentation and stuff I had to sell. But now we got $300 that we have to have by tomorrow. So everybody who didn't contribute, hasn't contributed, or can contribute again, please help us raise this final $300 by tomorrow. And then we're going to be good. And I'll get back to work, and then we'll, I've did this for a while, but I guess start doing this more. What I'm going to start doing is, I'll start we have weekly goals, but I'll start making those weekly goals more apparent. The problem is doing as few shows as I do when I'm working on films, but that's about to change very soon. So we'll have goals every week as part of our total monthly operating costs. And I'll deliver however many shows, and we'll have a goal. It's kind of like what I think what people do with that Patreon or whatever. But, that's one of the many things. And actually, I've got some other things that fall into that category I'll talk about with you here tonight. But that's one of many things that I just saw from a mile away. A lot of people have tried to get me to get on the Patreon thing for a long time, and I've always resisted it. Look, man, I got to tell you, it's hard to describe sometimes. Hard people make understand. I have a sixth sense for this kind of shit, man. I just saw the Patreon thing. It just seemed like something I shouldn't get involved with. Just, you know what I mean? The spider sense starts tingling. I was just like, eh. And of course now, they're doing the censorship thing like everybody else. So I can't tell you I didn't see that coming. Same thing with Twitter, all the stuff going on with, all this has been happening with Twitter, all the stuff that's going on with Bitcoin. I've had so many listeners try to get me on Bitcoin. I mean, I remember hearing about Bitcoin even in its early times. I'm talking like 2009. We're talking like 10 years ago. And that's not a credit to me, but a credit to our listening. I had listeners 10 years ago wanting me to get in on this. And I knew it was a scam immediately the first time I ever heard about it. I knew it was going to be a scam. Knew it was a scam. And the reason I knew it was a scam was because, immediately when I first heard about it 10 years ago, and I had to have someone explain to me how it works. It was one of our listeners, actually. And I said, wait a minute. You're telling me you've got apps that run, you've got stuff that runs in the background programs that run in the background on your computer, taking up your processing power and using energy to supposedly mine these Bitcoins. And I already knew about, cloud computing and already had covered stories on this show about, people using the processing power of, using these hijack computers to do processing. And plus I'd worked in the computer industry for a couple of years in the early 2000s, from 2000 to like the end of 2002. So I already knew. I said, no, anything that uses processing power on multiple computers and all this stuff, in order to supposedly mine, that's a scam. That's a fucking scam. That's just a way for them to distract from the fact that they're using processing power from multiple computers to do whatever, nefarious things, whatever it might be. And the fucking way that they sort of pay you off and keep you from paying attention to that is by allowing you to mine these virtual coins that they claim have value, and they built, the whole thing, I knew it was fiat from the very beginning. Twitter, same thing. I only ever got on Facebook because it was the only reason I would have never gotten on Facebook had it not been for trying to promote this show and promote what I do. And of course and that's the other thing. Everybody now talks about being restricted on platforms and this person's restricted on that platform. And listen, man, it's just another day at the office for me. They've been doing it to me from the beginning, even before. This is what's nuts. This is what people can't understand. They've been doing this to me since before I even started exposing a lot of the crazy shit that I've exposed. Just like the story I tell in Spellcasters 1 about the thing, that weird, crazy thing I had with Jones that time in 2006. This is a year before I ever started the show. I had never really even questioned. There's a few things, but I was, a Jones fan at that point, man. And to have that thing that, seriously, I've still to this day never had another experience like that ever in my life, man, where I felt like I was staring into the eyes of a demon and a demon was staring into me. I'll never forget just the ride all the way home, just in my head going, just freaked out about that. Because at that time I was a fan of Jones. Couldn't understand why he would just randomly sit there and gnashing his teeth, looking at me. Just waiting in line to get a beer and look over and you see that. If it would have been anybody, it would have been weird, but it was Alex Jones. It was like no one in the whole place was noticing it. And he was sitting behind it was at the Lakewood Theater. He was sitting behind it was like the booth where they used to, you give your tickets for the movies when it was a functioning movie theater. And he was just sitting back there, and it was right by where the bar was at. I was waiting in line to get a beer. I just look over and see fucking Jones gnashing his teeth, and it was just bizarre, man. So fucking weird. But as I learned about Scientology and learned about, when you start getting over to the upper echelons of the different OT levels, and this thing called MES, matter, energy, space, time, and the ability to be able to see stuff in different dimensions and different time and space, and it's just this complex thing. And all the things I've experienced as I started doing the show and making films and things where it's almost like they know. It's so bizarre. If it was just like they know what I'm going to do before I'm going to do it type of thing, and it was just that simple, you could chalk that up to, monitoring or listening or stuff. But it's on a whole different level than that. You know what I mean? It's like they predict what I do, and I haven't even ever said it out loud or anything. Maybe I've just only thought it. It's just, when I look back at how many times it's happened, it's just really bizarre. But the whole thing with Patreon and all that, but sort of the idea of that is what I'm going to start doing, where basically, we'll have goals each week, and then, and I'll, deliver however many shows for that. If the goal is 300 for that week, I'll deliver three, once I reach the goal, I'll deliver 3 shows, and then we'll have another goal once we reach that, so on and so on. Basically, that's long and the short of it is, that's what I'm going to start doing. But it led me to all this other stuff here that I was already going to talk about anyway, so I might as well go ahead and just get into this, because this is where I was going, talking about these different, the different things that again, there's been so many of them that I've just seen them a mile away and been like, nope, not get involved with that. I can see what that is. And, yeah, this stuff, the newest stuff now, the newest Joe Rogan and Alex Jones war stuff that's going on. And that was another one. Joe Rogan was another one. I got to tell you, man, this was back in 2010. It was 2010. I remember exactly it was 2010 because I just moved to a new place at that time. I started telling people that Joe Rogan was a shill and that he was not to be trusted back in 2010, folks, and it cost me a lot of listeners and a lot of support. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever talked about it much. I took a big hit back in 2010 because I had a lot of people that were Joe Rogan fans that believed he was legit and believed he was like the new Hunter Thompson, whatever, Timothy Leary thing. I mean, people who glamorize those people, even though, we know now that those guys were all involved in CIA, MK Ultra stuff. But sorry to have to tell you, I believe me, I was huge. Hunter S. Thompson was I was a huge fan of his when I was in my early 20s, but the stuff that I know about that guy now, man, yeah. I mean, speaking of Joe Rogan, and I'll get into all that stuff in a minute, but I haven't seen it in a while, but for a long time he had he had something on the microphone, or he had a shirt too, but he's used that like Gonzo logo, like the Hunter S. Thompson Gonzo, like Gonzo journalist, like a fist or something. I've seen Joe Rogan use that a lot of times. I think he has a shirt with it on it. I think he had a microphone thing with it on it. I can't remember. But I mean, and if you've seen my film, the Secret Ryan Volume 2, I get into some of the Hunter S. Thompson stuff in that. But, dude, you know what Gonzo journalism is? I mean, anybody that would tout that as a thing, they're either A, completely brain dead and retarded, or 2, they're doing it because they know exactly what it is. And I believe 100% that's what the case is with Joe Rogan. I've known that for the longest time. Dude, the Gonzo journalism thing, that is the fucking epitome beginning. That is fucking Noah's Ark. That's fucking Adam and Eve in the garden. That's fucking ground zero, motherfucker. That's Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, or fucking Fantastic Stories, whatever it is. Comic book number 1, dude. That's number 1. A fucking number 1. For fake news. That is the beginning of fake news. If you don't believe me, you don't know it, you need to read Hunter S. Thompson's book, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail. He ran this disinformation campaign against this political candidate and caused him to lose, and it was based completely on totally made up stuff. I mean, that wasn't just some one guy doing that. That's what they tried to spin it. Rolling Stone tried to spin it to you like that. They try to spin it as counterculture icon bullshit, just like they have with fucking Timothy Leary. No, that's MK Ultra. That's psyops. That's fake news. He said he's addicted to Ibogaine or some shit like that. Something that doesn't even have any effect. It's totally made up. And I've seen all sort of the alt-righters doing that now with the whole, Pedogate stuff and the Pizzagate stuff and all that crap, and the walnut sauce stuff where they're talking about, walnut sauce is what was from fucking Fear and Loathing, adrenochrome. Walnut sauce is adrenochrome, and Hillary Clinton and all the, and they're all the Democrats. They're addicted to adrenochrome. They're adrenochrome worshipers. Man, that shit, that's more Hunter S. Thompson, MK Ultra made up bullshit. And these stupid fucking so-called truthers and conspiracy theorists are fucking running with it because they're so moronic and retarded. They've never done a goddamn lick of their own research. They repeat fucking shit they've heard everybody else say on YouTube. They don't ever do their own fucking homework. They've never done their own shit. Fucking adrenochrome is made up bullshit, just like the ibogaine thing was. That's more of your so-called gonzo journalism, which is nothing but more than fake news. That's your so-called fucking gonzo journalism at work right there. Adrenochrome. Listen, you want to do some adrenochrome? You want to do some? You want to have a fucking, maybe we should do it. We'll have a fucking camp out in the woods. The Josh Reeves Adrenochrome Camp Out 2019. I'll bring like 18 gallons of the shit and we can all sit around and fucking do it all night. How about it? I'm kidding, of course, but what my point is, you can buy that shit on the internet. Don't believe me? Go look it up. Go look it up. I'm not making this up. You can buy adrenochrome on the internet, bro. Okay? It's fake bullshit. Hunter S. Thompson made it up. It doesn't do it has no psychological, psychoactive effects at all. It's not even scheduled in the government scheduling for drugs. It's because it's go buy it on the internet, dude. It's fake. But all these retards that want their point to be proven are running around talking about, Hillary Clinton and again, these guys are it's all designed to discredit each other. And it's all part of the psychological operation so you don't get people where people don't know what to believe. But I got to tell you, man, I don't even know if Joe had even started his podcast yet when I first started exposing this guy. I think he'd only really ever done that, besides Fear Factors have done before, but I started exposing him from that sci-fi TV show we did. I mean, that was the Shilly Schillenstein 5000 show. I mean, forget everything he's done since then, ladies and gentlemen. I was calling him for what he is just on the basis of that. Forget all the stuff he's had, all the people he's had on, and the CIA shills and all the stuff that's going on now. And here's the thing. If you haven't heard of all this stuff, you got to look up these Alex Jones videos and watch this shit on YouTube because it's fucking gold. Gold. I got to give it up to Jones. I really do. I got to give it up to him. He's more entertaining right now talking about this Joe Rogan stuff than he has been in years. He's very entertaining. And here's the other thing, just as usual with Jones, a lot of what he's saying is true. That's the thing. But again, it's never about the things he says that are true. It's the things that he doesn't say at all. And of course, with this Joe Rogan stuff, it's no different at all. But the stuff that he does say and the stuff that he just kind of says quickly and doesn't say it again is what's important to pay attention to. So if you want to go and find these videos, you can go on YouTube and look up, the titles of these are gold. I mean, the titles alone, the titles alone of these fucking things are gold. Especially this one. Alex Jones, quote, Jesus instructed me to destroy Joe Rogan. I got to say, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this is total clickbait. This is total fucking clickbait. No way Jones actually says the words, Jesus instructed me to destroy Joe Rogan. Oh boy. Gleefully, I was wrong. It ain't clickbait, son. Oh my God. No, he really said it. He really said that. Jesus instructed. Oh, fucking A. But, yeah, I mean, Jones is very entertaining in this, I got to say. Probably, I mean, more entertaining than he's been in years. It's fucking hilarious. But as I've told you, I mean, I told you this the last time, even when I put up that video a few months ago, showing you that both of these guys are CIA psychological operators. And it's even bigger than that. It's even beyond that. I mean, such stage theater, these guys, again, this is just, you got to look at this for what it is. It's psychological operations. It's military psychological operations. I exposed this shit years ago in my Secret Right work. I showed you, just like, so we got the documents right here. Bring the document again. I want to show them how these guys are eating babies' brains right here. Bring up the document can. I'm in command. Oh, fuck. It's just pure comedy. Again, this is WWE, man. These guys are slapping towels, slapping ass behind the scenes, high-fiving. It's funny how neither one, you ever notice how no matter how much shit these guys talk on each other, you ever know, and they'll say how long they've known each other, but you notice how they never mention or bring up how they met. Neither one of them ever brings that up. They just always say we've known each other 20 years. I mean, God, I was playing the fucking Belly of the Beast shit with Joe Rogan. I was probably playing that. Like 2008, I was playing that on this show. Belly of the Beast, Belly of the Beast, Belly! Fucking Joe Rogan and fucking Alex fucking baked out of their minds, walking around Austin wearing fucking dead president masks and fucking singing about Belly of the Beast. Nobody ever asked that. How did those guys meet? And it's the same thing. Listen, Alex has said a lot of stuff about Rogan on these things that are absolutely, he said a lot of absolutely real things. But again, like I said, it's not what he says, what he doesn't say. And he's claiming, I'm taking you to war and we're going to war and I'm waging war on Joe Rogan and this. But and just like you hear any of these other guys, they never tell you anything you don't already know. There isn't any information that's already coming out. Where Joe fucked up recently was he having the whatever that cock smoker is from Twitter on, Jack Dorsey. And that clip is solid gold. Because first he says, he asked him why Alex Jones was banned, and he says, well, we didn't ban him for the longest time because there weren't any violations of our policies. And then he says, but then we started to notice this trend, and then all of a sudden there were, nobody was reporting him, and then, we had a violation of our policy, so we had to let him go. But then he says, but I can't remember what the specific thing that he did was. But where he really fucked up was Joe has this Cash App thing for a sponsor. And, of course, it's owned by Square, which is owned by Twitter guy Jack Dorsey. And, everybody knows it's already, Bitcoin's on the way down, even if you did fuck with it. But Alex Jones is right. It's a pump and dump scheme. I mean, and I saw the next show Joe did. That when I watched that one, it was like, oh, dude, you're so done. Because he literally, he's having a lot of his followers turn on him now. It's just hilarious, man. I told you this shit 10 years ago, motherfuckers. So all of you cocksmokers out there that turned fucking tail on me and turned your back on me and quit supporting me almost 10 years ago when I told you what Joe Rogan was, in your face. In your face, bitch. Feels good. Listen, eventually people are going to learn. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's not bullshit. All the fucking things that I'd never got on board with, man, that I took so much shit for. I remember when the fucking Venus Project shit was coming out. I told you that was a scam. Everybody yelled and screamed at me and told me I was a shill because I wouldn't get on board with that. Look, and then that came out. The fucking, what was the other one? The Zeitgeist shit. I told you those guys were shills. Then it came out that they even admitted that it was just a money grab and they're all in it for the money. It could go on and on and on. I put out fucking Secret Right, Volume 1 in 2009. I told you in there because we scoured news archives for 2 years. We went to every news archive available. I spent thousands of dollars buying clips, trying to find anything on the CMP. There was no mentions in mainstream media about the CMP, no mention in mainstream news, no video broadcast, nothing. And within 6 months of the release of Volume 1, we had our very first occurrence of this in the media. It's at the very beginning of The Secret Right, Volume 2. When the Keith Olbermann show, all of a sudden they're talking openly about the CMP. Then I go start doing the Rockwall. Nobody had ever done any TV shows on the Rockwall. There'd never been anything about it. I start talking about it. I start bringing it out at the end of The Secret Right Volume 2. I showed you the connections between former Congressman Ralph Hall from Rockwall, the longest sitting congressman in U.S. history, his connections with the CMP and how that connects to the Rockwall. That was how I led into The Secret Right Volume 1. And then, of course, we know the op they ran on me with the 2 times I was on Coast to Coast AM, and they stuck me with horrible hosts, and they stuck me right on the weekends when they were shifting hosts to impact my numbers and the whole shit with that cocksmoker. I can't even remember that guy's name now. Thank God, the guy from fucking America on Earth, Scott Walter, and the whole op they ran on me there with the Rockwall stuff. That hurt me bad. Because people don't want to know the facts. Doesn't matter. Even doesn't matter if they didn't mention. They did no critical and no analysis on the Rockwall and on the material it's made of. They didn't show any of the geological reports. It didn't matter. It's on TV, so it must be the truth. They've continued to run off of me. They interview me for this supposed thing on Channel 5 out of the UK, still on fucking Netflix now. They didn't pay me anything. Couldn't even pay gas money or buy me lunch to go do that shit. They did that to try to make me look like I present information without basically with any facts. Right previously, or just before Spellcasters Volume 1 was coming out. Listen, man, again, it's not what these guys tell you, it's what they don't tell you. I mean, when I first started exposing Jones, nobody wanted to hear it. At least now, more people are aware of what Jones is, or if they're not, they're willing to hear about it. Man, when I first started exposing him, nobody wanted to hear about it. Nobody wanted to talk about it. It's the truth. But the fact of the matter is, and I did hear Jones mention something about, he's like, oh yeah, I know about your little mob connections there, Joe, with the UFC and how you were bragging about how the UFC is owned by the mob. Of course, see, he'll say shit like that. But here's the two things. No matter what Jones tells you, he's not telling you everything he knows. And he did make a couple of references, little quick references while he was talking about Joe. He made little sly references to stuff like, that leads you to believe that he has knowledge about Joe Rogan that pertains to pedophilia. At least 3 references, little, off the cuff little things that he only said once and very quickly that leads you to believe that he has some sort of information regarding Joe Rogan and pedophilia. He did more than once. He made some little slight references to that. But no matter what Jones has on him, he's never going to fucking say it. Because no matter what Jones may have on Rogan, Rogan has the equal amount of stuff on him. It's like, what was it from Trailer Park Boys, Shit Brothers? We're shit brothers. I know stuff on you, you know stuff on me that makes us shit brothers. Yeah, Joe Rogan and Alex Jones are fucking shit brothers. But they're more brothers than that. And we'll get to that in a minute. But the thing about it is, yeah, he made several references that made you think that he had some sort of knowledge about Joe Rogan pertaining to pedophilia. Look, let's not forget here, Jonesy. Let's not forget your connections with, again, how did Alex ever hook up with Charlie Sheen? That's never been explained. We know Charlie now, is bisexual, has been into men for a long time. He supposedly, what was it, Corey? What was the one that died? Corey Haim? Corey Feldman's the one that's still alive, right? Yeah. Corey Haim. The story is he butt-fucked Corey Haim on the set of Lucas. There must have been some shit going on that set, because there's also a woman that accused Jeremy Piven of, he really did. If you really get down to what she says he did, basically, he tried to kiss her and she didn't want to kiss him. He was 17 at the time. And he said, come on, baby. You want it. Wasn't trying to fuck her, didn't rape her. She's not accusing anything like that. Just that he tried to kiss her and she didn't want it. And basically he said, come on, baby, you want it. And then she, pushed him off or whatever. I think it's a little different than fucking an underage boy up the ass. The point of my point is, he's, Sheen's also been, trannies. He's into trannies. He's into tranny hookers. Jones gets caught looking at tranny porn. Joe and Alex are both, talk about shit brothers. They're both they're short brothers too. Short, angry brothers. Those short jack dudes, man. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I've thought for a long time that Joe Rogan is a closet homosexual. I've thought that for a long time. A lot of indicators. I think him and that dude Jamie that does his show with him. I think they're totally butt boys together. Those dudes that are over 50 and still want to be like jacked and ripped looking, I don't know. There's a lot of indicators. That beard wife of his. The thing that is, all these guys are into fucking. They're into homosexual stuff. Jones included. These guys all know to have stuff on each other. And then again, how did they get hooked up in the first place? As I've shown you Jones' connections to Freemasonry, his own admission to having high-level Freemasons in his family. And I believe that's exactly how they met. That's why they never say, we've known each other over 20 years, but they never say how they met. Neither one of them will ever say it. They'll both say we've known each other 20 years. We've known each other since 97 or 98, but neither one of them ever say, because they're not going to tell you that. And the last time when Alex was on, I think it was 2017, when he was on Joe Rogan's show, he says in the show while he's in town, and he says he's attending some secret event he can't talk about that's happening in California with Buzz Aldrin. And we know Buzz is a Freemason. It's just all the things. But Jones, that's two things Jones ain't ever going to bring up when he's supposedly exposing Joe Rogan. Number one, he's never going to bring up the fact that the UFC is 100% not just ran by the mob, 100% ran by Freemasons. Don't believe me? You can look this up. There's videos on YouTube. One of the fighters is a Freemason. All the top guys that run and start the UFC, they are all Freemasons, 100% across the board, ladies and gentlemen. That's how Joe Rogan and Alex Jones met. I told you 2 or 3 years ago, man, I found that show. There's an Opie and Anthony show there where they were interviewing Kevin Smith, the Clerks guy, and like an hour in, Kevin basically inadvertently outs Joe Rogan as a Freemason by talking about how Joe told him in private about going to the 33 Club at Walt Disney World, which is, you got to be in the upper echelons, and some people say you got to be a Freemason. He's never talked about it on the show. He's never brought it up. Joe never has anybody on his show that even remotely hints anything about Freemasons. They never even bring it up at all. So that's the two things. You'll never hear Jones say, of course, Jones will probably have one, because Jones has, by the way, if you didn't know this is true, Jones has little rat thinks spies that monitor my work and monitor my shows and stuff and report back to Jones. It's fact. It's happened. It's happened for, it's been going on even pretty much since I first started. Because I remember my sister was trying to get sponsors for me in the early days, like 2007. And, at that time we didn't really know anything to do. So we would just, hey, let's see what sponsors this guy has. Let's see what sponsors Jones has, and see if we can get those sponsors for your show, because obviously they're into supporting conspiracy stuff. So maybe they might want to support you too, or whatever, right? They might want to be a sponsor. And again, this is early days. I, at this point, had not even done, had said anything negative about Alex Jones at all, especially not on my show or anything. Not at all. Not one bit yet. This is early days. I hadn't started exposing him yet. And we were told by multiple sponsors that we contacted, that they were told not to sponsor my show. Which is bizarre, because you got to understand, my show had only been on air maybe a week or two at this time. A week or two, folks. I had 10 listeners. I hadn't even done anything yet. Then, of course, now we know that many of those, the reason what that was is because many of those sponsors that he had, just like a lot of the sponsors now, are actually CIA front organizations. That's what they are. The CIA has literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of front companies that they use to fund covert and black operations. It's a fact. They've been doing this for long. The newer stuff is not on the record, but you can go back and look at stuff. They've been doing it for decades. 50s, 60s, they were doing it. During the Kennedy administration, they were doing it. After that, during the Johnson era, the Nixon administration, on and on and on and on. So that's why when I, was going, well, why, it just didn't make sense. I'd never said anything about Jones. Why would these sponsors, and why would multiple ones say, we've been told, we've been warned about you? You've been warned about me? Again, folks, it's like they already knew ahead of time what I was going to do before I'd ever done it, before I even knew about the info to do it with. Is that bizarre or what, man? It is fucking truly bizarre. And again, this explains why listen, it's so crazy to me to see stuff that, like my own stuff, that I post on my channel. It's so crazy. And I go look at stuff of mine that's been posted on other people's channels, like the Lost Book of Inky stuff, or, clips from the show, and they got 50, 100,000, 500,000 views, a million views, whatever. I mean, that's when I'm seriously thinking about starting another channel for my stuff, and seeing if the results change. Because, as I said, clearly my channel, it's marked. It's clearly been marked for quite some time. But yeah, Jones is never going to fucking say anything about. He'll never say anything about the UFC being Freemason owned, and he'll never say anything about the Joe Rogan Club 33 thing. He won't say that, because those are the things that are going to expose him to. But yeah, he made another reference to say about Joe Rogan. Alex said, you ought to be in a Vegas hotel room with him at 6 a.m. It's a whole nother story, let me tell you. And he made this thing almost like, it kind of like he was inferring that he was, doing weird sexual stuff, whether it's training hookers, whether it's, I don't know, or it's little boys or girls, I don't know. But he made more than 2 or 3 allusions to have knowledge about that kind of stuff. Now, why won't you just come out and say it? You would think if Jones had all this bombshell info and he had all this stuff against Joe Rogan, why wouldn't he come right out and say it? Because he knows he's got shit on him too, and he doesn't want to risk Joe coming out. This is all stage theater, man. All this, it's more divide and conquer. It's more psychological operations, and it's more distractions from all the other crazy shit that's going on. But I gotta say, the Jones stuff, the stuff he's been saying has been highly, highly entertaining. I saw the clip I saw last night. He's been calling Joe the Snake Rogan now, and he had like one of those long stuffed snakes like you get, it's like you'd get at the carnival or something, or at the fucking state fair or whatever. One of those, from the Midway, one of those stuffed prize, like a long kind of velvet stuffed snake, and Jones was like had it around his neck and was wearing it. They called him Snaky Snake, and he was like doing Joe Rogan's voice with this. Hey, I'm Joe Rogan. I'm a traitor. I'm Benedict Arnold. It was fucking hilarious. It was hilarious. I gotta admit, that was some fucking funny. It is funny, but it's funny to me, and I can laugh at it because I see right through both of these clowns. They're not fooling me. They might be fooling a lot of other people. I've had both of y'all's numbers for over 10 years. I've been coming for y'all for over 10 years. All y'all are doing is proving everything I've done up to this point correct. That's all you're doing. Both of these guys are fucking bought and paid for. Both of them are shills. Jones trying to say that he's never got on board with Bitcoin. That's a total lie. He was accepting Bitcoin for quite some time. He had advertisers that were selling Bitcoin for a long time. He was doing all that stuff with Ted and his Jew Gold, and Ted's gonna come on and got some good deals for you, Hawks. He was doing the same kind of shit, selling gold like way above spot to his listening audience and telling them it was a great deal because it was about to shoot up. He was doing that for the longest time. The same shit that he's accusing Joe of doing with Bitcoin, Jones was doing himself with gold and precious metals with Ted and Midas Resources. Midas Resources got a good deal for you, folks. We're going to sell you. We're going to sell you some gold. Listen, it's only 20% over spot. Okay, it only costs 20% more than what it's worth. And that's a good deal because New World Order is going to be coming in here and collapsing gold anytime. We're going to be in martial law by next week. Your fiat currency is going to be worthless. And Ted wants to save you from that. He wants to sell you some good Jew gold. And I got a big stash of this Jew gold myself from Ted. And I paid only 10% over spot, because that's the kind of guy I am. That's the same shit. Same exact shit. They both prey on utter morons for their existence. Both of them. That's exactly what they do. They prey on utter, uninformed, douchebag morons. And now they're attempting to divide those morons up and are dividing them up against each other for their own political gain. This whole thing's not going to hurt either one of these guys. They're both going to come out on top in the end. And they're both now multiple millionaires. I mean, these are guys who are claiming to be truth tellers, and they're multiple millionaires. I mean, Jones even admits in one of those clips, well, we bring in $40 million a year here, folks, but we need that to fight the New World Order. Can you imagine? And some of you motherfuckers out there are pissed off at me because we got to have, $1,000, $1,500, whatever a month to do what we need to do here. And I've been kicking these motherfuckers in their dicks for 12 fucking years. These guys were over here raking in 40 million, 400 million, whatever it is a year to lie to you. This is the fucking shit that boils my blood. It's fucking unbelievable. Oh, is there any, what else do I have to say on this? I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember if I had anything else to say on the point or not. What else was I going to say? I don't know. I think that's all I had to say on the Jones Rogan stuff. I was going to talk about my 4-part presentation that's out now. A lot of people got part 1 and 2. Now, a lot of people got part 3 and 4. You need to get that part 3 and 4. That's where it's at. That's where the shit's at. A lot of people have been asking me for part 5. I don't know, man. I got to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm really focused on getting Spellcasters 2 out in the next week or so. That's really my focus right now. But I got to say, a lot of people have been sending me stuff. Please continue to, if you think you found something else new, whatever, listen, if I don't respond back, I'm busy and I just don't have time. And plus I've been having to fundraise and still trying to fundraise so we can keep the fucking boat afloat. I don't have time to email everybody back, but I appreciate the stuff you send me. I get it. I do read it. I don't always have time to respond back to everybody individually because I do get a lot of emails and stuff every day. So, but I don't know. Right now I'm just focused on Spellcasters 2. I might do a part 5 because a lot of people are asking for it. I might just do a part 5 that strictly is stuff that we've gotten from the audience. You know what I mean? I was thinking about that. I don't have anything else. The thing is, it's not like I'm sitting on info over here for this. You got to understand, I did 4 parts that are over 8 hours long, folks. I didn't really hold, I didn't really hold anything back. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, I haven't looked at anything. I haven't looked at any new information at the movie or anything. I haven't gone back into that. I've been trying to fundraise and trying to work on Spellcasters 2. But as I talked about, one of our listeners is done some recon and is going to do some more. And he sent me photos the other day from he's made an excursion out to Griffith Park and went to the Griffith Observatory and took some amazing photos, really amazing photos, and found some stuff that's really, really unbelievable. And he's planning on doing a hike at some point and going to that location that I talk about at the end of part 4. I'll just leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? But just the pictures that he got from the Griffith Park Observatory and, you know, his own opinion, which is exactly what I want, exactly why I want to go there. And I will go there eventually myself, but it's great to have people. We have another person that also, was it Lee? I think it was Lee. Who, one of our listeners, he offered to go out and shoot footage too. I didn't get back to you on email, bro, but thank you. I appreciate your offer to go out to the Griffith Park and shoot video footage out there. So, but in all that, you know, all that's great. Please do that, whatever. Anything we can get, that's great. But our one guy, Ezekiel Osiris, he went out there and he said, just in his opinion, from going there, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that place is hiding something. You know, his spidey sense started tingling when he was out there too. He found a fucking place, a place in there in the observatory called the Wormhole Stairwell that produces all these weird frequencies whenever you know, produce sound in it. The Wormhole Stair, what? And he got more detailed pictures of the painted ceiling and all that, and all the people. I mean, it's just unbelievable. A few other people have come up with a few other things. There's a couple other things I didn't talk about in the movie that I could maybe bring up and talk about. So yeah, I mean, I'm not, as I said before, right now I have no plans to do part 5. Excuse me. But people are asking for it. And, so yeah, I may do that just strictly on, user submitted information and data. Might do that at some point. No plans to do it right now, but, regards to that, I didn't tell you guys this story. This happened, it wasn't last weekend because last weekend was the Super Bowl weekend. It was the weekend before that, I guess. This is crazy. I'll have to post the picture on my Global Reality Facebook page at some point so you can see this. Just so you can see what I saw. There's this little place here in Dallas. It's just like a little, you know, dive bar, beer joint type place. And, you know, it's one of those places where they got, you know, good food, cheap, good beer, cheap. You know, it's just, you can go there and hang out and it's not going to cost you a lot of money. You can go and fucking, you know, get a gigantic burger and some fries and, you know, a couple of fucking PBRs for like $20 or something. So I hadn't been over to this place in a while, and I was like, you know, I want to go over there and get a burger, you know? So I got to tell you, man, this is that shit. If you see, it's only going to be funny to you if you've seen my 4-part presentation. So again, go and get that shit. And tell your friend to get it too. You can imagine, man, if you've seen this series, especially if you've seen part 3 or 4, you can just imagine, you know, you already, fucking A, man. I mean, it's hard. Sometimes you're already fucking freaked out about some of this shit. I mean, some of the stuff I find, I'm freaked the fuck out. Takes me a few days to get over it, man. Because I find some of this shit sometimes I'm just, this fucking can't be. This just can't be. This is too crazy. And then, of course, it turns out to be 100% correct. And again, you know, I try not to be there's some people just overly paranoid, but I try not to engage too much in that, in sort of the mental subterfuge of, you know, they're watching you, man. They're watching you. Yeah, I try not to, because that's what they want, you know. They want you to be in fear. That's why they do so much blatant stuff, so that you know it's somebody fucking with you. But I gotta admit, man, I thought somebody was fucking with me. So I rolled to this place, right? Little out of the way, little, you know, fucking hole in the wall, little fucking dive bar, burger joint, beer joint. And mind you, there wasn't a Comic-Con. Look, there wasn't a Comic-Con going on in town that weekend. There wasn't any kind of sci-fi conventions, nothing. We have a lot of those here in Dallas, but there wasn't anything like that going on that weekend. I pull up to this place, and what the fuck is sitting out front? I'm not kidding you. I thought somebody was fucking with me. I was like, okay. I was even saying this, and the Uber driver was like, what? I'm like, nothing. I was just like, seriously, I was sitting there going, somebody's fucking with me. Somebody is fucking with me. I get to this place, guess what's sitting out front? Right when I get there, guess what's sitting out front? The goddamn DeLorean time machine from fucking Back to the Future 2. The one that has the food processor on the back of it, that one. Sitting out in front of this place, going, doors open. I got a snapshot of it. I should put it on my Facebook page. I was just like, okay. I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to fucking pop out of the fucking time machine, and I would fucking kicked his fucking head square in the nuts too. Nobody punks me, Ashton Kutcher. I jumped in the fucking time machine and fucking flew off and went back to the future. I would have fucking been gone. That's exactly what I was thinking too. I was like, Ashton Kutcher jumps out this motherfucker and tells me I'm punked. I'm kicking him square in the nuts. All there is to it. I'm going back in time in the DeLorean time machine to kill his parents. I'm pulling a John Connor on his parents, make sure that motherfucker's never born. I mean, put yourself in my shoes, dude. Seriously. You put out all this stuff, all this time travels, all this stuff, and this, all the Back to the Future stuff I had in there. And I never go out. I'm a homebody most of the time. I just, want to get out for a minute and go have a burger and get a cheap beer and, not spend very much money. And he gave me a complex. I was like, somebody's fucking with me. Who's fucking with me? I kept looking around thinking somebody's going to jump out and tell me surprise or something. That goddamn fucking DeLorean time machine is sitting out in front of this fucking beer joint when I got there. Can you fucking believe that shit? I was just like, goddamn, I can't even get away from this shit. I can try. Just like I told you before. So many times I find info and research and stuff when I'm just relaxing. When I'm trying to take my mind off this stuff. That's how I found the whole Under the Silver Lake thing. I wasn't trying to do research or do homework at the time. It was just time to take a few minutes of working on the film. That's what I've had to learn to do. You have to learn to do that, for my health and my own mental health and everything. So I'm just taking some time. The same thing. Every time I try to take some time out and get my mind off this stuff, what happens? The goddamn DeLorean time machine sitting out in front of the fucking beer joint. What? Fucking Marty McLarge fries, go back in time to get some fucking hamburgers or some shit, like fucking J-Rock said, it's Trailer Park Boys, 1.21 gigaguts. Jesus. I'm telling you, that's my life right there in a nutshell. That's it. That sums it all up right there. Unfucking believable. Man, oh man. Where did that other story I had go that I wanted to cover? Don't you hate that when that happens? Got every story under the sun here, except for the one I'm looking for. That's no good. There it is. Peter Jackson signs on to make new Beatles film out of unseen Let It Be footage. Oh, this is interesting. Sir Peter meets Sir Paul and Mother Mary. Lord of the Rings filmmaker Peter Jackson has come on board a project that Paul McCartney had previously hinted at was in the works. A new Beatles documentary using the 55 hours of in-studio footage that were shot early 1969 for the 1970 feature film Let It Be. The announcement was made on the 50th anniversary of the Beatles' rooftop concert atop the Apple Records offices in London by Apple Corps Ltd. And Wingnut Films Ltd., Jackson's production company. No release date or plan has been set, but sources say there's every reason to suspect that the still untitled film will come out in 2020 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Let It Be album and movie. The 55 hours of never-before-seen footage and 140 hours of audio made available to us ensure this movie will be the ultimate fly-on-the-wall experience that Beatles fans have long dreamt about. Jackson said in a statement, "It will take a time machine, transport us back to 1969, and we'll get to sit in the studio watching these four friends make great music together." See that right there? That right there. These four friends. See what I'm saying? This is a narrative change. I've told you about this before. This ties right in with my work in the Spellcasters. The original Let It Be film has long been out of circulation, released only on VHS in Laserdisc. And yes, I happen to have one of the very rare Laserdisc copies of Let It Be. The film was restored for a planned DVD issue in the early 2000s, but that was scuttled amid reports that McCartney and Ringo, with the movie's emphasis on tension in the recording studio as they recorded. That whole statement, it doesn't even make sense. The film was restored. I'm reading this word for word. This is not me messing this up. I just want to be clear here. The film was restored for a planned DVD issue in the early 2000s, but that was scuttled amid reports that McCartney and Ringo star with the movie's emphasis on tension in the recording studio as they recorded a little more than a year before their breakup. It's missing words there because it just says with movies emphasis on tension in the recording. That's all it says. It doesn't say anything bad or good about it, but that's the point. Fans who were aware of McCartney's interest in releasing a more upbeat look at the sessions have wondered if the new film would take the place of Let It Be, with the original movie forever consigned to the Apple dustbin. Happily, any fears about that film getting buried forever have turned out not to be true. A restored version of director Michael Lindsay Hawk's theatrical release is set to finally get its belated digital release following, this is a quote, following the release of this new film, according to Apple's announcement. You see what they're doing? See, this is a total fucking Paul McCartney. Another attempt at Fall. Another attempt for Fall to try and change the historical perspective and outlook on it. I have the original, and once you realize that guy was a replacement, when you watch the original, you can see clearly what's going on. Nobody has any interest in working with this guy because they know he's not the real guy. Nobody's into it. Now they want to make this new version where, Peter Jackson, we're watching these four friends make great music together. See what they're doing? That's the whole reason why this has not been released and been come out to this point, because it clearly shows their uninterest in working with this fake Paul McCartney. It's some of the most clear-cut evidence that that exists. You can hear him doing all his different voices. There's 3 or 4 the fake voices, because again, they've gone back and done analysis on many McCartney recordings, and there's up to 3, sometimes 4 different people singing simultaneously on his records and recordings. 4 separate people that are all purporting to be just Paul McCartney. That voice analysis has been done years ago. Oh yeah, the original will come out, but it's going to come out after this new version, right? Probably with little to no fanfare. Maybe it won't ever come out. That's what they're saying. But that they could just as easily say, oh no, we decided to scrap it again because we don't want that version to be out there. This is a way for them to put out a sanitized, re-edited version and attempt to show, oh, look, we were great friends. We were all getting along. We were all having a great time. And this is the same shit, just like that he released that Let It Be Naked, where he stripped all the Phil Spector production out. Because, again, they got Phil Spector in prison for the same reason they got Suge Knight in prison. They both know where the bodies are buried, and better yet, they both know where the bodies aren't buried. That's a more accurate statement. Because, John told Phil Spector the whole fucking deal on the whole fake Paul. That's why the whole, go look at the timeline. That's why that Let It Be Naked, the Let It Be Stripped thing, where he stripped all the Phil Spector production out, happened just prior to the supposed murder that he committed, which the forensic evidence shows he didn't commit. Doesn't matter, man. This stuff is real, and they're putting people away for it, man. You can't even imagine how deep this whole Fall thing goes, but you're going to find out. You are going to find out. More craziness from Jose Canseco today. Check this out. I talked about his most recent comments, and he hadn't really put any more out until today. Where did it go? Oh, wait, yeah, he did. He put out some a few days ago. It says, I just time traveled into the future. Rams win 27-20. And then it says, wow, what a lousy game. Those guys should be ashamed of themselves. I'm taking the alien off payroll. Sounds like his, I think Canseco's mind control programming is breaking down. This is what it seems like to me. This is the classic kind of stuff when people get let off the MK Ultra leash and their program starts to break down. He says, cloning is illegal. That's why we cannot evolve into our next stage. Remember, he talked about we need to go to our next stage in order to time travel. Well, now he's saying cloning is illegal, and that's why we can't do it. And the next post, he says, once cloning is legal, we'll be able to purchase either bodies or ourselves in our prime. And once our shells get too old, detach the brain and then apply it to a new shell out of the body. In 50 years from now, only the rich will be able to purchase a new body. New bodies will come with an optional android or robotic moving parts. I figured out a way to live an extra 30 years. One of the many ways to live an extra 30 years is that you have to sleep in almost freezing temperatures. One other way to live 30 years longer is we are taking in way too much food. Cut down your food intake by half. Another way to live 30 years or longer is you must have sex 3 times a day. Or not 3 times a day. Another way to live 30 years longer is you must have sex at least 3 times a week. Well, I'm fucked on that. I don't even jerk off 3 times a fucking week. What the fuck are you talking about? And the next post says, thetruthhurtsmovie.com. Check it out. The release of my award-winning film. Sign up to get your copy. What? Is that what all this has been? He's got some fucking documentary. This is what all this has been, isn't it? That's why he's been fucking making all these crazy fucking statements. Well, he's got a movie coming out. There you go. Pretty much explains that, doesn't it? Should have fucking known. Still some weird shit, though. Got to admit. Got to fucking admit. All right, well, that's it. That's all I got for you. As I stated earlier, though, we've got these operating costs I've put off as long as I can. We've got stuff that's been due since last month, and we've got to have a minimum of $300 in here tomorrow, or I'm not going to be able to broadcast. I'm not going to be able to continue working on the film because we're going to get the internet cut off and all that. So we've got to have 3 people that contribute $100 in the next 24 hours, or 1 person that can contribute $300. Either way. And if you haven't seen the 4-part new presentation, what the fuck are you waiting on? All right. Hopefully we reach that so we can keep going. I don't want to fucking lose any more valuable time working on this film. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow if we don't reach it. So please help us. We need your help. I'm not fucking asking you to buy Bitcoin or Jew Gold or trying to sell you fucking pump and dump scams. I've never done that. That's why I've never had fucking... That's what people don't get. That's why I don't have advertisers. People are like, oh, you should just get advertisers. Do you understand that's why I started this network 10 years ago? It'll be 10 years ago this December. And from the very beginning, I swore I would never have sponsors. I would never try to sell you things. And I would never have anything that would get in the way of the information. So when you wonder why I have to have donations and you wonder why I tell you to support our work, that's the reason why. Because I don't make you sit through commercials. I don't try to sell you pump and dumps. I don't sell you fucking scams. All we need is the minimum amount we need every month. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for anything extra. I'm not trying to be rich. I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I'm trying to get the information out. And that's why you got to support my work. Okay? That's the bottom line. Maybe I don't say that enough, but that's the truth. I'm not trying to be rich. I'm not trying to scam anybody. I'm not trying to fucking make hundreds of $1,000s and have, all these crazy sponsors. No, I want to do this real. That's always been my goal. And that's why you guys support my work. The end. See you next time.